Welcome to the UpNext AI podcast. It's Thursday, May 14th, 2026, and here's what matters in AI today. First up, Bloomberg reports that Mistral is in discussions with European banks about deploying its own cybersecurity-focused model as an answer to Anthropic's limited access Mythos system. In Bloomberg's description, Mythos is a model designed to uncover cybersecurity vulnerabilities at very high speed and scale. Why this matters is less about one unreleased model and more about what it signals. Banks are exactly the kind of institution that want powerful security tooling, but they also care about access, control, and regional availability. Bloomberg says Europe's banks are under pressure to detect and fix vulnerabilities that could be exploited by AI tools and that they've lacked access to Mythos. So if Mistral can offer a comparable bank-facing product, that turns restricted access into a market opening. There are still big unknowns here. Bloomberg says the model is in development, that Mistral has held discussions with European banks, and that timing for release is still unclear. But the broad takeaway is straightforward. Specialized AI models for offensive and defensive cyber work are becoming competitive infrastructure products, and access itself is now part of the product strategy. Next, Microsoft Research has introduced GridSFM, a small foundation model for the electric grid. Microsoft says the model can predict AC optimal power flow in milliseconds, which matters because that underlying optimization problem helps determine how electricity gets dispatched while respecting the physical limits of the grid. This is one of those AI stories that reaches far beyond software teams. Microsoft frames the problem as tied to grid congestion, renewable curtailment, and reliability, and says these decisions can affect up to $20 billion a year in congestion costs. The company also says the model was tested across 54 grids and references results on 41 of those 54 grids in the material provided. The practical pitch is speed. Microsoft says utility-scale AC optimal power flow can take up to hours to solve, while GridSFM produces predictions in milliseconds. That could make it possible to evaluate far more scenarios, which is useful when grids are under strain from rising demand, renewable integration, electrification, and extreme weather. The caveat is that this is still Microsoft's research announcement, not proof of grid-wide deployment. But it's a strong example of AI moving into critical infrastructure where the win condition is not a clever demo. It's faster decisions on real physical systems. For today's research pick, a new archive paper introduces KVServe, a system for compressing KV cache traffic in disaggregated LLM serving. In plain English, this is about a scaling problem inside modern AI infrastructure. When large language models run in production, they create and reuse a memory structure called the KV cache. In newer serving setups, parts of the model pipeline can be split across machines or services. That helps scalability, but it also means this KV cache has to move around the system, and that movement can become the bottleneck. The researchers propose an adaptive approach instead of one fixed compression setting. Their system searches across different compression strategies, then uses an online controller to pick what fits the current workload, bandwidth conditions, and latency targets. According to the paper, that cuts offline search overhead by 50 times, delivers up to 9.13 times job completion speedup in one serving setup, and up to 32.8 times reduction in time to first token in another KV disaggregated setup. As always with fresh archive work, treat this as one result, not the final word. But the bottom line is clear. A lot of AI progress now comes not from changing the model itself, but from making the serving stack far more efficient under real production constraints. Are you building apps with voice? Elevate your app's voice capabilities with 11 Labs. Their API is a game changer for embedding dynamic, responsive voice interactions in your applications, providing unprecedented realism, flexibility, and latency. In fact, you're listening to one of their voices right now. If you are a developer looking to elevate user experience with natural voice interfaces, this is your solution. Visit upnext.fm/11 to check out their latest offerings. A quick headline on Anthropic. The Decoder reports that Anthropic is launching Claude for Small Business, a package of 15 agent-based workflows and integrations for tools like QuickBooks and PayPal. The idea is to meet smaller companies inside the software they already pay for, rather than asking them to assemble an AI stack from scratch. And one refreshing reality check from the agent discourse. Simon Willison highlighted a quote from Boris Mann arguing that saying you have 11 AI agents is basically meaningless as a phrase. Mann compares it to saying you have 11 spreadsheets or 11 browser tabs to do your work. It's a useful reminder that counting agents is not the same thing as explaining capability, autonomy, or actual business value. Finally, AWS announced the general availability of Claude Platform on AWS. AWS says customers can access Anthropic's native Claude Platform experience through their AWS account without separate credentials, contracts, or billing relationships, and that AWS is the first cloud provider to offer the native Claude Platform experience this way. It's another sign that model distribution is becoming more deeply embedded in existing enterprise cloud workflows. Before we wrap up, a quick note. This podcast is generated with the assistance of AI and is intended for informational purposes only. All referenced articles, research, and commentary remain the property of their original authors and publishers. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. And that's your briefing for today. Full source links are in the episode notes, and we'll be back tomorrow with What's Up Next.